Hi and welcome to the walkthrough video for Secret Agent Bass. It might not be the fanciest, most expensive or even the best bass guitar ever sampled, but it probably is the most interesting. In order to create the cure for the common bass samples, we sampled a Defil Rytm bass made in Poland in 1972, which has a wide and thin fully hollow body, a medium scale length and a bolt-on neck. So it is from the same year and same government factory as our Secret Agent guitar library. Its tone has a lot of color and character, as you would expect, and what you just heard is notes plucked with the fingers. These basic plucks have 4 round robins and 3 dynamic layers, and there are also picked notes which have 4 round robins and 2 dynamic layers. The pickups have a very warm tone, which in turn let me pluck really hard without getting a shrill sound, and that lets you get more dirt and character than gentle plucking would have. Most of this walkthrough uses the Shattered Glass Audio Ace amp sim, which is small, simple, free, and fits in with the slightly dirty retro indie vibe. But here's the sound completely raw with no amp sim and back to using the fingers. Then there are ghost notes, which you also heard at the very beginning, basically short, little muted, not quite fingered notes that bassists use a lot in more R&B or soul-influenced styles. These are important to me when I play stuff in real life, so they also get treated as something important here, and they get 4 round robins and 2 dynamic layers. They are especially useful for adding more rhythmic texture to moments which have no drums, and they are only recorded with the fingers, but if you really want to, you can use them with the picked instrument also. You can even use them in a way bassists probably wouldn't and play melodies and arpeggios. The final 2 articulations are hammer-ons with 2 round robins, and harmonics with 3 round robins, and likewise recorded with the fingers but available in the picked instrument. We recorded octave and 2 octave harmonics with a capo up to the 11th fret, so you can basically play any note as a harmonic except for the extended low range. There are quite a few controls, and as you can see, a big chunk of them are dedicated to vibrato. Basically you get 2 types of vibrato: violin style, which goes up and down from the main pitch, and guitar style, which is always bending the pitch up. The rate, delay and humanized controls are shared by both types of vibrato. The performance controls include a hand position selection, so you can either play in lower positions where the sound is brighter and attacks clearer, or choose to play the same notes higher up the neck where they get shorter and thumpier. Very high up on the low strings, the harmonics sound especially plunky. The string poly switch selects whether you can only play 1 note on each string at a time, like in real life, or whether you can ignore reality and play multiple notes all on 1 string. And the muting control shortens all notes, which at very high settings basically makes the regular note sound almost like the ghost notes, but at more moderate levels it's not far from what the original green felt mute which could be attached to the bridge did. The volume controls include one for the release noises, which add realism to note endings, and these also have 4 round robins. The Compensate volume control raises the volume of the naturally quiet hammer-on and harmonic articulations to make them a little easier to blend into a loud part than they would be in reality. And because hollow bodies feed back relatively easily, you can also do that here and get your howling and screeching feedback on in case you ever need it. As I mentioned earlier, we recorded both direct pickup signal and the microphone signal, and there are 2 ways to use the mic recordings. One is to blend in some high-passed mic signal into the pickup signal with this mic volume control for more high-end and even more noise and character. You can also load the acoustic patches, which are all just straight up unfiltered mic recordings. There's not a lot of low end here because this is a thin hollow body, so you probably shouldn't try to use this as a bass, but rather as an unusual color of its own. Here it is with a big reverb sounding like, I don't know, maybe a big acoustic guitar or some kind of obscure zither. Finally, because we try to push instruments to places they've never been before, like the synth instrument in Vengeful Cello, we have the 809 patch. It's like an 808, but more. We kept the round robins, dynamic layers, and position selection of the regular bass instruments, but applied an 808 style pitch envelope, so you basically get an organic version of the classic 808 thing. This has its own special controls, which let you shape that glide envelope's length, depth, and curve. The defaults are basically in classic territory, but you can also go well beyond that. The sub control adds the same sample with the same pitch envelope, but transposed an octave down for more low and fat. The sub fade controls the attack time of this extra layer. Because pitch bending 808s is used a lot these days, we made that easier by making the pitch bend snap to the nearest half step and also smoothing the pitch bends so they don't T-pain on you. So you can fiddle with the pitch wheel or draw pitch curves or whatever and not have to worry about hitting the notes in tune. So this 809 isn't just an afterthought or a joke or a little throw-in, it uses thousands of samples under the hood and we put some serious thought into making it playable. All this adds up to over 7,000 samples and almost 6 GB, which is arguably an excessive amount of detail for a weird cheap old bass, but that's the whole point and that's what makes this virtual instrument special. Let's end things with a snippet featuring both this bass and our earlier Secret Agent guitar, with the guitar run through a bunch of shoegazy effects. You can get both, as well as our other libraries at shop.colorifer.com. If you like them, tell a friend. If you like them and you don't have any friends, tell an enemy. And thanks for watching.